Hi, everybody. I'm gShift Labs. I'm the co-founder and chief technology officer at gShift, and today is a Web Presence Wednesday webinar series. Is going to be on Google Plus specifically. I will get into some interesting things that are happening in the search engine landscape. We will also go into the software as well and look at how we're measuring metrics and signals around Google Plus. And then we'll also address some questions and answers just around social signals in general. And also we'll just talk in general about where gShift is at in our new 2.1 product version that was launched in the August and September time period. All right, if anybody has any questions during the session, please address them in your question box. And I will look at them as we roll through. I may put some of the questions off until the end, like we typically do, and then we can get into any other questions that are above and beyond the scope of the topic today. All right, let's move on here. Some of the cool things that have happened in August are gShift attended the Search Engine Strategies conference in San Francisco, and it was well attended. A lot of great people, a lot of great questions that are happening, and the general consensus was the pace at which search engine changes are happening, or search engine algorithm changes are happening, and the pace at which social media is playing an influence on search rankings. It's so fast that people are overwhelmed. So that was the main take back that I had from the people that I was talking to, in that a lot of the people were really just looking for data, some kind of monitoring and reporting just around data so they can try to put together or comprehend all these changes and all these possible influences to a search ranking so they can start to look at it and start to evaluate what's working and what's not working. So that was an interesting take back, and definitely gShift is providing a role in that space. One of the interesting speakers that came out was a last-minute speaking gig was Matt Cutts, and I'm sure some of you have recognized that name. Matt Cutts is basically the search engine algorithm evangelist at Google. And what he said, one of the statements that he said many statements, but the biggest one that I took back was there's going to be another large release of Penguin coming in September, and it's going to scare a lot of people. Especially if you potentially have purchased or have done some things where you purchased backlinks or tried to do some sort of backlinking things that maybe Google doesn't like. So, or they may be looking at low quality backlinks, in which case you might not get that kind of, let's say, that influence of backlinks to your client's website or your website. So we'll keep you highlighted on that at gShift when that does come about. I do typically provide those highlights immediately when I see them through Twitter. So you can follow at gShift Labs or at Chris H. Adams, and you will get provided with that up-to-date information on typically any major change that you should know about, and that can also create opportunity for you or your clients. One of the other biggest pieces that Matt talked about was Google is really, really interested in fresh content. So the socializing of that content, the blogging and PR are still the best ways to rank and get social influence. Social influence, why we're talking about that more and more often at gShift, is because the more influencers you have, the potential that they may retweet your Twitter posts or your Google Plus posts, like in today's conversation. And those signals are what Google's looking at. And the more signals that you get, the more prominence that piece of content has, and then thus the ability for it to rank higher in search engines like Google. So all three search engines, Google, Yahoo, and Bing, are moving towards using social signals again. It was reiterated down at Search Engine Strategies in San Francisco, and those were the major highlights and takebacks from that conference. This is something that I tweeted at the end of August, and it's a channel that I follow called the Google Fact. It's just kind of little Cliff Clavin pieces of data that are tweeted every once in a while. But what I wanted to highlight is we always talk about Google as marketers a lot. So heavily, our conversations are always about how do I rank in Google. But we really need to, especially for targeting the US marketplace, and most of us on this conversation, I'm sure, do. Uh, we need to understand that Yahoo and Microsoft still play a role in search. So if you look at the 16.3 and the 14.7% Microsoft, that's a 30% market share uh, that they have together. So we need to really understand how we rank in Yahoo and also in Bing. And with that, I just want to make sure that we're all there. Now, possibly some of us might not have customers that might not be in Yahoo or in Bing because maybe the demographics are different. And so maybe what I'll do is I'll find out some more demographic information on Yahoo and Microsoft in terms of age groups or demographics that we can look at in the next Web Presence Wednesday, just to see if how should I really be trying to rank in Yahoo and Bing, or should I just concentrate just in Google? The biggest answer to that is that if you rank in Google, more than likely you're going to be ranking overall in Yahoo and Microsoft, unless there's a technical issue, in which case that can be worked out. The other interesting pieces at Yahoo over the month of August were it has new leadership. There's a new CEO. She is changing the way the organization is being run drastically. I believe it's going to be for the good. More than likely, they're going to go back to their niche, which is their directory listing, their local listings, and getting right back to the core of their search service. So I expect some interesting things to be announced by or at Yahoo in the next month or two. In which case, I do think they're going to jettison a lot of things that they were trying to do half decently and go back to their niche. And I do think that will help them increase their market share overall. So this is something that to watch. The other thing that Bing announced at SES San Francisco is that more and more social data is being displayed in Bing. So if you are doing some searching in Bing, they have also just recently they announced introducing Quora. This is a question in or frequently asked question kind of a social site that's based in San Francisco. And if you haven't used it, you should try it. It is indexed by Google, and what they're doing in Bing is that if there is a match between a keyword phrase and potentially a question being addressed that has become popular in Quora, then it would be in the search results as well. So that was quite interesting, and that just goes to show you that as we try to increase the web presence of our clients' websites and organizations or ourselves, uh, it just goes to show you that your web presence is also expanding at the same time. So it is potentially going to be tougher and tougher to keep up with the expansion of what would be a definition of a web presence. And definitely, Quora should be something that you should consider signing up for and starting to address questions inside that social site, especially now that it's being some of the questions are being displayed in Bing. Let's move on to our major topic today, which is Google Plus. I've used this slide before, I think when I introduced what we're going to be talking about last month. But this is really what it's at. It's something that is very simple. If I have a new press release or a new blog post, uh, I want to come and post it in Google Plus very simply on my company page. So this was a blog SEO guide, and what we did was we just or linked in the PDF, and it shows the image, and it has the content that comes up. And at the top part, I can actually create a short URL like a bit.ly where maybe I want to track it even further, or I can use just a straight URL, in which case Google Plus will just generate one for me. I can provide a different piece of content in the top part of the abstract. So I could, what you don't really want to do is repeat exactly what is being shown below. So you want to create your own sort of, let's say, human, or let's say a call to action on why I should want to click through and read this guide. So this is how I would do it. You can see that down here, people can plus it as they like it, or they can comment on it. And these are the signals that we're talking about. So these are signals being generated to that URL that Google can pick up on. And Google Plus uh, obviously has more weighting in Google than, let's say, what Bing or Yahoo would do. We don't know for sure if Yahoo or Bing even pick up Google Plus right now. They typically are looking at Twitter and Facebook signals. So what is the overall strategy uh, for winning with social signals? And that is, you saw the market share. We saw that they have, in Google, in the U.S. marketplace, a plus 65% market share for Google. I would think that if Google is weighting Google Plus signals in their search engine algorithm, I would be on board with using Google Plus and linking in any new blog post, press release, or web page change on my company Google Plus page. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't, not look at Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. I think that the best course of action would be obviously to use all four social sites and use them effectively at the same time to create signals for your new pieces of content. We have been busy here at gShift, and we built a Google Plus business page optimization guide. There was actually quite a lot of information. I know that some of you, I recognize some of the names from last month when we discussed the YouTube optimization guide. That one is pretty simple compared to Google Plus. There is a lot of things that you can do to help optimize a business page. In which case, keywords in the description, keywords in your abstract. We can just step over for just a moment and we actually put it into 4 steps in terms of mastering the business page optimization. So the first step obviously is going to be creating your page. And again, if you have already done so, then there's going to be the content areas around the Google Plus page and the opportunities to make sure that you have the right keyword phrases or the right abstracts around your business. There are ways of promoting your page and building a community. These are the things that we call circles. And then we also have some advanced techniques, such as the sharing of information, sharing into different circles, things of that nature. We can just jump quickly into that guide. It is about 6 or 7 pages, so it is a little bit more than the last or the previous guides that we produced. This will be distributed to the people on this webinar, and we will be getting that out to you within 3 to 5 business days, basically the same time frame as before with our blog content in the YouTube guide. So we just discussed things, the differences a little bit between Google Plus and, let's say, Facebook, the things that you need to do in terms of naming your page, linking it to a local Google Plus page. There's things like taglines in the profile photos, other little things on completing your profile. So there are abilities to add photos and link videos to your YouTube channel. That's pretty cool. You can actually have multiple managers of your page. So say, for example, you are an agency, your client could be a manager, And then also one of the people on your in your agency, on your team that's helping to produce content for that client can also be a manager, and therefore the client could be providing information, and also you could be providing that strategic content as well uh, to that page. So we do provide you with some examples on what kinds of content to publish, and I think it's again fairly straightforward. We want to provide information that is new, timely, knowledgeable. So these things can be videos that you may have done if you're attending a trade show or an event. It could be a new video that your company has produced. So these are the things that we would want to publish, and we really want to make sure that using the keywords as well in these Google Plus posts. So say, for example, I wanted to, again, like today, the Google Plus, the business page optimization guide. I would definitely be using those same terms in my Google Plus post. And the reason is because I know for sure that there's lots of people that are searching on Google right now for information on Google Plus and how to optimize it better. So it's possible that there's an association between the keywords I use in my Google Plus post and again, how it influences my rank on that particular page. So again, we want to make sure that we're using the right keywords to categorize and discuss our content. We can, as I said, publishing to circles. Uh, Circles are basically groups. They could be like lists on Twitter. So basically, I could produce something that I might only want to share to, let's say, people in my company. That's possible. I could have a circle where it's just to some technical colleagues of mine that I want to share, like some really maybe some geeky data around some search engine algorithm data. I might just do that. But most of the time, I do want to share it publicly. And the reason is because I do want to have people potentially discover gShift uh, on Google Plus because people are using Google Plus to search, or potentially if they're logged into Google as well and they were searching on something, it's possible that like a gShift post, our content could come up in the search results. So that's very interesting. So now what we're doing is we're hedging our bet between having organic content ranking in the top 10, and I have content in my Google Plus channel that has been equally optimized to see if I can get that content also into the top 10 if someone is logged into their Gmail account while searching on a particular topic. So this is what we call web presence, and there's a little bit of social and still a lot of organic search involved in doing this properly. Again, this guide will be distributed to all of you on this list, and you can see that there is a lot of content that will need to be reviewed and hopefully incorporated into your Google business page over in the fall of 2012. Again, I urge you to consider this important. It is something that is definitely being used in the Google search engine algorithm, and let's discover it together. Start off small by sharing a few things, and then maybe once every month when you're producing your blog post or a press release, start sharing that content and just go from there and see what happens. So let's jump into Web Presence Optimizer, and let's just take a quick look at where we can see content and metrics and also signals around Google Plus. So if we can just quickly jump in here, this is our demo account that we're using, and I'm going to jump in a couple of different ways where I can take a look at particularly a web page and see what kind of signals are being produced at that web page level. And also, in general, we're going to look into the social area, see how many signals are being produced for me, especially on Google+. So it's pretty easy for me to get at this information. If it's particularly social data around a page, I'm just going to go quickly to a home page, in which case I can look at social signals that have been generated to this person, this our demo account's homepage. So you can see that there's a lot of social signals being generated to this particular URL. However, this person has never shared their homepage within Google+. So that's something that we can look at and potentially we can change by saying, hey, we've updated our homepage and we have more information on, let's say, some real estate listings. This client is a real estate agency. So this is something that they can do at the page level. I can jump more at a website level where I can highlight Google Plus and see that this person has only shared one link so far in Google Plus on this condo floor plans. We can see what's been shared in, let's say, for example, Facebook. We can start to see what is new during this time period, or likes overall, or other shares of that content within Facebook. And we can also get information on how many people have clicked through from these social channels to our website to see what kind of activity is happening because of our sharing. Is it driving more traffic to our website? And we want to understand that because obviously social is very important, as it is also to organic search traffic as well. So we do provide you with that ability really quickly to see that information by website. If you're an agency that's on the webinar today, again, by client as well. So I can move over to social and start to look at our major activity here in terms of what's happening. And really, there's not a lot happening for this particular client during this time period, but we can click over and see what's happened maybe in the last 90 days. So it looks like they had some activity in terms of sharing some pages uh, and getting some likes. So we can add, if your company has more than one company page, or if you want to track other pages, we allow you to have that ability. You can actually map and configure more than one Google Plus page. So maybe there's an individual at your organization, or maybe you have two different Google Plus channels for some reason. Maybe there's one for corporate information. Maybe there's one about that's a channel specifically to do with just your products and services. That is possible. It just depends on how your organization arranges things and arranges your content. Again, we can provide information across the board on multiple channels in terms of Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So that's how easy it is to get an idea or general sense on by page what's happening overall in terms of the entire site, what's happening for all the social signals during that time period, and we can begin to report on this for our clients. So again, that's as simple as now. In terms of setting it up, I do need to configure my page. So this is how I got the information, and I will need to be a manager of the page in order to get access to that information. So this is how I would add the Google Plus account, and I can start gathering information on that account by simply just clicking the Add Google Plus account, providing the URL to it, and it's simple as that. One thing I didn't provide in terms of updates is that Google Plus has created the ability. It hasn't been completely rolled out to everybody in the general public, but it will be shortly. And that is, we used to have these weird URLs. They're just basically a number of 8 to 16 digits to, let's say, this Barry Cano team Google Plus page, and it really didn't have like great branding on it. Google is sometime in September rolling it out to everybody where you can actually have, for example, the Google Plus slash Barry Condo team, as this particular demo account has it, so they can actually have the branded page, and it looks a little bit nicer. I will be tweeting that as soon as it's available to the public, that you have that opportunity to do so. And again, it's going to be a land grab, and you want to make sure that for branding purposes, that you have that set up for all of your clients. So that was Google Plus. Once the guide comes out, please read it over and just double check to make sure that you have everything correctly done on your Google Plus business page for yourself and for also your clients. And that's the major part today. What I do want to leave you guys with is most of you, there's some of you on the webinar that I recognize, and you're already using our 2.1 version of our web presence optimizer, and that's fantastic. Some of you are still using our older system, the 1.0 system that's been around for 3 years, and we're going to be moving you. I know that most of you or all of you should have received an email about a week or two ago stating the fact that our migration is happening. And that's great. So what has to happen is that our engineering team is moving vast amounts of data based on your account, depending upon when you started, into the new system. When I say vast, there is vast amounts of data around social signals and backlinks and ranking data and analytics data. And we have to do that in a very particular way to make sure that all of your data is correct and is being moved over. And we have to help validate that the data is correct. So we're doing that as one client at a time because it is a large amount of data. And what we'll be doing is we'll be reviewing that data with everybody. So with agencies, obviously, there's many clients inside your agency account, in which case we'll be walking you through and making sure that everything is there. And for clients, we will be doing the exact same. So look for another email in the next day or two, in which case you'll be seeing access to your account with your account details such as your username and password. We also have a number of training sessions that have been communicated in that email, in which case you can sign up for it. Or we will also remind you with other sessions in the next week. In terms of what's going to be happening in just the near future, is that we've talked to our clients and they just want more and more reports. So they want to get access to high level detail across the board, either on a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis. And they want to have just a little bit more control over these reports. For example, sometimes they might not want to show backlinks in a report, or they might not want to show social signals in a report, but only show the ranking data or only show the analytics data. So we've listened to all of you, and we will be providing that kind of flexibility to determine what you would want in a report, and therefore you can highlight the best things that have happened during that time period. We still provide you with that great way of providing annotations, in which case you can annotate in the reports some summaries around the pieces of data that you're showing. For example, maybe there was a search engine change, maybe the Penguin release happened this month, and maybe your client's backlinks potentially have dropped a bit. We can explain, at least in the report, why that has occurred and that we are going to be monitoring it. We have just recently released the ability to, in the 2.1, to provide a CSV or an Excel format to your ranking data. So if you felt like you wanted to export the ranking data and potentially dress it up in a different way, we allow you to do that now. So you can take the ranking data and move it into potentially a different, maybe you want to create your own Excel document as well. We look forward to providing more and more information in the Web Presence Optimizer. We have included more data points around social signals, and we'll be putting up more details shortly on other other social data that will be included in gShift. So we look forward to announcing that sometime near the end of September. So that's the end of the official webinar. What I'm going to do is I'm going to answer a few of the questions that are beginning to pop into the Q&A box. So if you do have any questions now, please go ahead and ask them. And there's a good one here. They received the email for the migration, which is fantastic. Is there anything that they need to do to switch, or is everything happening in the background? We are trying to do 95% of the work. So what does that mean? It means that all of the legwork my team is handling for you. The only things that you need to do, the technical things that you need to do to complete the migration, and we'll be reminding you and also calling you if you haven't done so, is that we need to authorize our social accounts again, and we need to authorize our Google Analytics data collection account. So those are very simple things to do. In theory, they would take less than 30 minutes. Potentially for some people, it might even take less than 10 minutes, depending upon if you have all of your details in front of you. That's how long it would take to complete the migration. So my team will be contacting you to remind you of completing those tasks. And obviously in the email, that information will be there to remind you. But we will also know if you have not authorized your social accounts or your Google Analytics account, and we'll be reminding you to do so. So those are the cool things that are happening. And someone's also asking just about in terms of timing around the Google Plus business page optimization guide. We're just doing our final quality control over the document and producing it into the PDF, in which case I expect that to be sometime early next week. Someone's also asking about a recorded version of this conversation for their colleagues. The answer is yes. Similar to the previous Web Presence Wednesday sessions, the follow-up email will contain a URL to the video, in which case that will be available to you, and you can share that with your colleagues. Someone's just asking about just in terms of information around reports. Just say, for example, I think the question really is for the month of August, would I use gShift 1.0 or would I use gShift 2.1? If you are a client that's kind of being migrated right now, you can, I should say, still continue to log into gShift 1.0 and run a report for the month of August. However, for the month of September, your data is actually being collected in 2.1 right now. So if you were trying to go to a meeting today or run a report for a client for the month of August, then you can do so still in gShift 1.0 and run the report the way that you've been doing it for the last year. And in the future, in the month of September, or let's say beginning of October, you would be using 2.1 to produce that report for the month of September. In the following quarter, if you were looking at producing, we have a new report which will allow us to allow for a quarterly view of your ranking data. So you can actually see the difference and change between 3 months instead of just reporting on 1 month. You would do so in 2.1. There will be more reports coming in 2.1 as we roll this out. So again, we'll get more finer detail around all the different aspects around one's web presence in terms of highlighting, change, or going very deep on one particular item, such as, let's say, I only want to understand backlinks, or I only want to understand social signals. So we will be able to allow you to have that granularity with your data. That's the end of the questions for today. Uh, I hope that that information was good for you in terms of just doing a review on Google Plus. I look forward to sending that guide to you to make sure that you are handling Google Plus business page optimization properly. And I look forward to providing you with more search engine updates next month in October. I believe the topic in October has been picked, and I believe it is I'm not for sure, but I believe it's around LinkedIn company pages. And I will confirm that with you when we send out our thank you email to this Web Presence Wednesday session. And that topic will be confirmed with a date so that you guys can book it for next month. If you have any tips for me or any feedback on the content that's being produced in these web presence sessions, please send me an email. It's simply chris at gshiftlabs.com. And let me know what you think. We can go deeper into the software, or we could go deeper into a guide, or I can go deeper into specific search engine updates. Uh, Usually, I'm trying to keep it to a half an hour with about 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A, and that way it's contained. I know that your lives are very busy, and I want to make sure that you have the right information as it's coming out, so that you can effectively run your business more efficiently and also properly. So thank you very much, and I hope everybody has a great back to school week.